Hey, what's happening, guys? Rules for Rebels here, and today we're going to be talking about and reviewing eBay's policy on dropshipping. Last week I made a video talking about Amazon's policies on dropshipping. We clarified some things that I think there's a lot of confusion about, and basically the main thing with Amazon is you are allowed to dropship. However, you have to be the seller of record, and when we say the seller of record, that refers to the name on the product packaging has to be your name. The name on the packing slip in the order has to be your name. You're not allowed to have any third-party companies' phone numbers, emails, anything inside the package. So, that basically means that retail drop shipping, the process of listing an item on Amazon and then fulfilling it through like Walmart.com or Bed Bath & Beyond, that is not allowed. Now, you can probably get away with it, but technically it's against the terms of service. And if a customer makes a big enough stink about it and brings it to Amazon's attention, you may wind up getting your account suspended. So we talked about that last week. Today we're going to be covering eBay's policy on dropshipping. And some of you guys, if you've searched for this in the past, may have been kind of confused. I guess they say dropshipping here. On some other pages, they just refer to it as product sourcing, which to me is a little bit misleading. When I think about product sourcing, I'm thinking about going to Alibaba and sourcing a product and buying it in bulk. I'm not really thinking about dropshipping. But eBay calls dropshipping product sourcing. So about product sourcing. So we're going to touch on, is product sourcing allowed? Do sellers have to tell buyers the item is from a product sourcer? Should I be concerned about buying an item from a seller using a product sourcer? And then lastly, how can I get started using a product sourcer? So eBay defines product sourcing, sometimes called dropshipping, as one way to sell items on eBay. Sellers using a product sourcing service never handle the item. Instead, it is sent directly from the warehouse to the buyer. The seller collects the money from the buyer and pays the product sourcer for the item. This benefits both the buyer and seller. By purchasing in bulk from a product sourcer, the seller gets a discount and can pass those savings on to the buyer. So I have to say I kind of disagree with this. Somebody who's buying 1,000 items from Alibaba, for example, they are buying in bulk and they're getting a bulk discount and they can pass along those savings. Somebody who's doing drop shipping or quote unquote product sourcing, as eBay calls it, they're not buying in bulk. They're buying one unit at a time. Yeah, you may be a recurring customer, but you're not buying in bulk. Some drop shippers will give you like 5% off or 20%. Some drop shippers who do retail and drop shipping will offer you a discount, but you're typically still going to be paying more than the person who is buying in bulk. The next question is one that you guys are mostly probably wondering about. Is product sourcing allowed? Selling using a product sourcing service is allowed on eBay as long as the seller can guarantee that the item will be delivered to the buyer within 30 days of the end of the listing. Sellers who choose to sell using this method are responsible for the item and there's buyer satisfaction just like any other eBay seller. If there's a problem, it is the seller's responsibility to work it out with the buyer. So even though technically eBay says you have to have items delivered within 30 days, I would highly recommend not sourcing items where it's going to take anywhere close to 30 days for it to reach the buyer. eBay buyers and Amazon buyers tend to be, I don't know if impatient is the right word, but they're accustomed to getting their packages in a timely fashion. Amazon even more so than eBay, since a lot of people are used to Prime. But even on eBay, I would say most people prefer to, or probably expect to receive the item within 3 to 5 days. If you're taking longer than, say, a week or 10 days, you're going to have some upset buyers, you're going to have negative feedback, etc. So even though technically eBay says it has to be delivered within 30 days, I would shoot for within a week. And if you find a good US-based drop shipper, that really shouldn't be an issue. First class and priority shipping are typically guaranteed in 2 to 3 days, and most good drop shippers will ship, if not within 24 hours, within 48 hours. The next thing you may have been wondering about, do you have to tell buyers the item is from a product seller, a sourcer? Sellers don't need to indicate in the listing that an item is from a sourcer, and as we discussed in the Amazon one the other day, if your buyer finds out that the product isn't from you, you've screwed up. When you're drop shipping, you want to provide the customer fast shipping, a quality item, and good customer service, the same way as if you're selling items that you actually have. And you don't want people to know that it's coming from somebody else. It kind of rubs buyers the wrong way if they realize that you basically just went and ordered something for $5 and turned around and sold it to them for $10. I realize that people who are buying products in bulk from Alibaba are doing the same thing, but oddly enough, in buyers' minds, like, okay, at least there, that person had to shell out some capital up front. They had to wait to get the product. More work goes on into it. When somebody realizes that all you did was go on some website, click buy, and plug in their address, it kind of rubs buyers the wrong way when you're upcharging them. So you really don't want anybody to know that you're drop shipping. Ideally, you want to follow what Amazon recommends, or not recommends, but insists upon, which is being the seller of record. Whoever you drop ship from, you want to be the seller of record, meaning your name is on invoices and packing slips. If you're going to provide contact info like phone numbers, email addresses, they should be yours. Should I be concerned about buying an item from a seller using a product sourcer? All sellers, including those who use sourcers, are responsible for making sure that the correct items reaches the buyer in good condition and within a reasonable amount of time. Buying an item from a seller using a product sourcer is no different from buying any other item. You still get the same eBay money-back guarantee. So they're just kind of addressing for buyers, should you be worried about from, like, if I know somebody's using a quote-unquote product sourcer, I'm probably going to cut out the eBay seller and try to go buy that item direct myself and save myself some money, but that's just me. And then lastly, in this section, eBay says, how can I get started using a product sourcer? So if you're interested in using a product sourcer, you can click the eBay solutions directory for a listing of companies. Sometimes there's some reviews and things like that. Personally, I'll show you guys some of their people. Personally, I wouldn't use these just because every other eBayer out there is probably trying to use or using these same ones. Also, from the few I've looked at, I'm not really that impressed with the pricing or the product selection. But I will take you guys over here. So this is the sourcing solutions directory. So Novatech sale, you know, most of these list a website. Some of them are rated. Here's one, it's 5-star sale. Who, let's see, Search Dome is you know, 3.5 stars. B Stock Solutions is 3.5 stars. And I will link to both the page about eBay's policies regarding product sourcing, as well as the page with some of eBay's suggested drop shipping suppliers or product sourcing suppliers. If you guys want to take a look, some of these have fees, some don't. They'll list it here whether they do or don't. Categories supported, they'll tell you if they sell everything or specific categories or multiple categories. They'll tell you if they support US or global people who are looking to drop ship, etc. So I will link to both this site and this site in the description box below. But again, guys, I covered Amazon's policy on drop shipping last week. I decided, you know, I ought to cover eBay's policy on drop shipping. Just to recap, eBay and Amazon both allow drop shipping. I personally would not advertise the fact that I'm drop shipping, despite them allowing it. I would say they kind of frown upon it. PayPal's not crazy about drop shipping. eBay's not crazy about drop shipping. Despite what they say here, I do know people who shortly after admitting, you know, sometimes eBay or PayPal hits you up and say, hey, we want to know where you're getting your items. We want to know a little bit more about your business. And I do know a few people who, as soon as they mention or admit that they're drop shipping, you know, all of a sudden they have a rolling reserve on their account, or their eBay account shut down, or their PayPal account shut down. So keep it to yourself that you're drop shipping. There's really no reason for anybody to know. And if anybody does find out, it means you're not doing it right. There are no restrictions on you being the seller of record when drop shipping on eBay, but I would highly recommend being the seller of record, finding a drop shipper who ships out quickly and who will put your name or your eBay store on packing materials, put your customer service number, etc. And yeah, I mean, it is allowed. You have to make sure your items get there in 30 days. My recommendation is that you get your items to your buyers in a week or less. So hopefully this video clarified eBay's policy and eBay's view on drop shipping for you guys. Any of you guys who are thinking about drop shipping on eBay and or Amazon and have any questions, drop a question or comment in the comment section below. If you learned something in this video, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed. And I will catch you guys on the next video. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, guys.